Hello everyone. In this video I'm going to be going over the UKIP party rules concerning the leadership duties from the leader to the treasurer to the chairman and so on. All the roles involved and specified in the party rules. I won't be discussing what they are allowed to do, what sort of powers they have, just specifically what their duties, what their responsibilities are, what they're supposed to do. So to begin, we got to start at the top. So starting with the party leader. The party leader has actually a rather small scope of responsibilities. Firstly, the party leader is actually responsible for the political and policy direction of the party. They're not so the direction the party has to go, the way everyone is moving towards. You can use it as an example in the recent leadership elections going on. You've got Ben Walker's been talking about his Go Grassroots campaign. So that's the direction he wants to put the party in. And it's more or less the same. That's the best example, really. Then the second thing a party leader is responsible for is actually quite important, and the last leader had a lot of criticism for this: the external party communication and messaging. So, of course, this isn't internal. This isn't how the party runs on the inside. This is all about how the party is communicating and messaging outside, with the media, with press, with other political parties, with other countries. Anything like that is the party leader's purview. Now, another really important thing is when it comes to how the party makes itself, gains its success, gains its renown. So the leader is also responsible for the management of the party's elected representatives. So when someone becomes elected, then the leader is responsible for them, for their management. So this means that the party leader is not responsible for managing the branches or the finances. The party leader is not responsible for making sure that everyone's getting the communications, everyone's getting their ballots, how the elections are managed. That's none of the party leader's business. Now, under the party leader comes the deputy leader. The deputy leader's role is actually rather simple. The deputy leader is responsible for any aspect of the party leader's job that is delegated to the deputy by the leader. So basically, if the leader decides that he can't do something, he can delegate it to the deputy. That's pretty much it. Although, I know this isn't technically a responsibility, but I thought it is definitely worth noting this. The party leader cannot delegate any part of their job that is specified by the Constitution. So anything in the Constitution that specifies the leader has to do this, that cannot be delegated to the deputy. The leader has to do it. That's it. That's the deputy leader's responsibilities. Basically, whatever the leader decides that is not within the Constitution for them to do. Now, next up comes a rather well-known role in the last year or so, the party chairman. So the party chairman actually has a lot of responsibilities. The party chairman is responsible for organizing and chairing of the NEC committee meetings. Sorry, the NEC meetings. That was a double. Yeah, anyway. And dealing with matters that arise from the meetings. So basically, the chairman is going to have to basically make sure all these meetings go to plan, and that's anything that comes from them, is actually going to have to be actioned upon. So, yeah, that's a tough gig, really, because it means you're going to be the bearer of bad news sometimes, or maybe sometimes good news. The party chairman is also responsible for organizing and chairing the party's autumn and spring conferences. Now, it's a lot of work, because we know how these conferences go. There's a lot of work involved with those. The chairman's also responsible for organization of staffing and resolution of disputes within the party. So, if something goes down, that's the chairman's role. And I don't think it's not actually the toughest gig, to be honest, because of staffing and resolution is very difficult, but there is actually someone I'll go to later who's got a much tougher gig than that. But we'll get to that soon. But beyond that, the party chairman is also responsible for overseeing the party's publications and communications and campaigns, including the party's websites, marketing materials, recruitment activities, media relations, policy publications, And the kicker, all other online and offline communications created under the party brand. Now that is a hell of a role, and honestly, I'm trying to figure out how on earth the party chairman is expected to do all of that, plus all the previous responsibilities. That's a lot of work. That is a lot of work to be done. But honestly, I'm not so sure that it's it's too much for someone. If they're doing it full time, then yeah, I reckon I could do that. If I was being paid to do it, I could do that. Maybe. I'd probably not be too experienced. So the next role is actually the vice chairman. So the vice chairman is a interesting role, really. Actually, no, it's not that interesting. It pretty much sounds like the deputy leader, except for the chairman. So the vice chairman naturally is responsible for any aspect of the party chairman's job that is delegated to them by the chairman. And like the deputy leader, there are parts of the chairman's job that cannot be delegated because they are specified by the constitution for the chairman to do, not the vice chairman to do. But the vice chairman does have an additional role, which is organizing and chairing the NEC meetings in the absence of the party chairman. So it's basically like the assistant chairman, really. There's an interesting role I saw here as well, and I was trying to go through it, and I was trying to figure out what exactly their role was, and this was the party secretary. Now, the party secretary I mentioned earlier is probably one of the two most toughest jobs, I think, in the party. So party secretary is going to have to be skilled because they're responsible for ensuring that the party complies with all its legal requirements except those relating to finance, which are covered by the treasurer, and advising the party on all other legal matters, which, the party might find itself in. They're also responsible for dealing with any threat of legal action made against the party, and they have to organize a defense where legal action has been brought against the party, and organizing all legal action taken by UKIP. And here's the real tough part here, is they're responsible for all internal and external disciplinary matters, including organizing and chairing disciplinary meetings. Now that, to me, that's probably the toughest gig, really, because, you're talking about internal with UKIP, other UKIP members and such, that's kind of tough. But not only that, the party secretary is also responsible for organizing elections to the NEC and party leadership elections. And I think that is definitely a tough job. That's because of all the legal stuff involved here. That's just one side of it. You've got to basically be the lawyer to the party of sorts, but then also having to deal with the disciplinary matters and disciplinary meetings and organizing the elections. That's a lot of work. I'm not sure if it's more work than the chairman, because I think the chairman has more day-to-day work involved, so there's actually a lot of work there. But if any legal action happens to come up, I imagine the party secretary will be completely swamped. Now, the next role, actually, and there's actually not too many, but it sounds like a lot, actually. The next role is the general secretary. A general secretary, like the vice chairman, is responsible for aspects of the chairman's job that the chairman chooses to delegate apart from any part of the chairman's job specified by the constitution, just like the vice chairman, basically. But they also have to act as a secretary to the NEC, and they have to act as a CEO of the party, essentially. So they've got to kind of run the party, which kind of leads me to wonder what the chairman does if the general secretary's job is to act as the CEO. I guess it's probably more with business related matters. It's kind of above me. It's this is why I'm just an ordinary member. And then it's an interesting part is the general secretary is also actually responsible for responding to routine queries from members and branches in a timely manner. So they basically have to respond to, I don't know, ordinary queries. I'm not sure what routine queries mean. I assume things like, why is my membership card not arrived yet? But it looks like actually in the party, I've noticed that we've got a branch administrator. They seem to handle most of these. So I'm not sure whether we have a general secretary, actually. I've just been going over the rules, not who we actually have elected. But the General Secretary is also responsible for the line management of staff at the head office. And as we're seeing with this document, which needs to remain pristine, they're responsible for updating and maintaining the rules of procedure for the party. So I'm probably going to need to speak to them because I know some issues in the rules that I need to bring up. Now, the next role is the head of candidates. The head of candidates is like the General Secretary and the Vice Chairman, is responsible for aspects of the Chairman's job that the Chairman chooses to delegate apart from any part of the Chairman's job specified by the Constitution. So apparently if they've got a full house there, the Chairman can delegate a lot. The head of candidates is also responsible for administering the assessment centres and administering the candidate selection procedures and advising the NEC on appointment of removal of candidates. So that's quite a lot of work, I think. Not as much as some of the other roles, but it's kind of like they've got multiple, the chairman has multiple sort of assistants by the sounds of it. Now, the last role here I've just switched to is the party treasurer. The party treasurer is a well-known role besides the leader and the chairman. And naturally, the party treasurer is responsible for managing the party finances. This is something that Freddie Varcha apparently knows better than our current party treasurer. But unfortunately, Varcha, it's not your role. It's not your duty. It's not your job. Sorry. Now, the party treasurer is also responsible for ensuring that the party is compliant with all financial legal requirements under the commercial law and electoral legislation. So this is where they are actually taking over some of the legal roles. This is more the party treasurer's purview. So yeah, they basically have to deal with that a bit more. But they also have to make sure that all the bills and wages are paid on time. That's always an important job, especially for the kind of work I do, like to get paid. And finally, the party treasurer is responsible for advising the NEC, the party leader, and the party chairman concerning the state of the party's finances in respect of proposed action. So basically, they have to make sure that the NEC party leader and chairman know where the finances are before they move forward with things, which is always important to do, really. And additionally, the party treasurer is also responsible for overseeing the finance and remuneration committee. I'm not really sure too much on that committee because I'm just going over the party leadership roles right now. I'll be probably doing another one on the financial side of things for the party. We'll see about that. And finally, definitely an important one to track how the party is doing. The party treasurer is responsible for producing the annual accounts. So that is what the party treasurer is responsible for. So yeah, there's quite a lot of roles in the leadership, if I'm honest. There's a lot more than I thought. I always just thought it was treasurer, chairman, leader, and then probably the sort of, secretary, party secretary or something like that. There's a lot more roles than I thought there were. But now you have their duties summarized. So if ever you're looking to wonder what is the leader or the chairman or the treasurer or the secretary or the vice chairman, my apologies. If ever you're wondering what they should be doing, what they shouldn't be doing, that's their duties. If they're not doing any of those things, they're not doing what they are responsible for doing under the party rules. Of course, I'll leave a link down below to the party rules document on the website. If the link gets broken, let me know. But most importantly, please do leave a comment down below. What do you want to know about the party rules? Leave a suggestion, because I've come up with a few myself, but I don't want to just be answering the ones I'm curious about. I want to answer the ones that you're curious about. So if you want to know something about the party rules, I'll give my examples of the other ones I'm going to be doing, which is how to become a branch chairman under the party rules, and how to report branches who break the branding, or if you just want to report some sort of post, how do you do it officially? Who's responsible for it? And so on. Anyway, so that's it for the leadership duties under the party rules. Till my next video. See ya.